What's good, y'all? It's Hall Effects No Cap Podcast here, and I'm your host, Horace Ricard. And if you haven't checked my previous episodes, make sure you check that out of the way. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And today is just going to be the NFL draft is finally over. I'm really going to be talking about most of the first, mainly the first round, and I'm going to be grading every single pick there is. And there were a lot of surprises. There were definitely a lot of surprises and definitely like obvious choices, but I really think this was a really great draft. Like I really enjoyed watching all those teams. Like it was a lot of things happened. Everything was crazy. So, but let me. I need to. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So there were definitely a lot of. And comment down below, like what you think every team, how you think every team, how every team did, what team really had the best draft, what team had the worst draft. For me, the team that really had the best draft, I think, was probably the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns had got JOK in the second round, and they let Greg Newsome fall to them, which is those are steals. Those are definitely steals. I have the Browns as my Super Bowl content. I have the Browns as Super Bowl winners. I honestly do. I honestly think if Baker Mayfield just doesn't play horrible, Baker Mayfield, he'll see he since he is their X factor. If he doesn't play horrible, I do think the Browns can make it Super Bowl. Super Bowl. But and I'm gonna say the Browns. The Lions also had a really great draft too. They got the best player available. They got Penei Sewell. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I think they got other guys. I'm just forgetting on what their names are. But I also the Panthers had a really great draft too. Yeah, J.C. Horn on the first round, probably the best corner in the draft. They also had Terrace Marshall Jr. from the third round, which is an absolute steal. And I think I forgot the guy who they picked up in the second round, or I think no, the Terrace Marshall was the third round. But I do remember I do remember that the Panthers actually have a really great draft. And a lot of people don't like that J.C. Horn pick, but I'll get onto that later. But so actually, let me see if I can find round two. I'm checking this on my phone right now, actually. Wait, so who did they get? The Panthers, the Panthers, the Panthers. Oh no, they did get Harris Marshall in the second round. Okay, never mind. Never mind. So the third, who did they get in the third round then? Oh, wait, Braden Christians, yeah, the tackle from BYU, yeah, who's much older than everyone, but yeah, they did need a left tackle, and that was probably one of the best ones available. They're eating some Timbits right now, so good. Okay, yeah, sorry for that, but just finishing up the Timbits, but I'm really gonna start on grading all these draft picks. So okay, so the first overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence. That's an A plus already. I'm not really gonna touch into that. Jacksonville got the greatest college quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. That's an A plus. And the second overall pick, they just select Zach Wilson. I'm gonna give this a B because Zach Wilson is my QB4 or QB4, maybe QB3, but I think QB3 is kind of a stretch. They took this the they took in my opinion QB4 in the second overall pick, which honestly isn't well. There were better guys on the board, so I'm really gonna give it a B. So the San Francisco 49ers, I'm gonna give them an A minus to B plus. The reason why is because they did select Trey Lance, way better than Mac Jones, of course, but Trey Lance has probably a high ceiling. This definitely has a high ceiling. But the fact of the matter is that they could have gone Trey Lance, not with the third overall pick, but with not the 12th overall pick. But the fact of the matter is that they gave up 3 first round picks and an extra third. 4 to move up to 3. And Trey Lance probably could have been there in like the 6th or 7th spot where they could have traded up to, but the thing is, yeah, you could say, oh, if they didn't make those trades, then all these other moves would have not happened, which is true. But I'm gonna take this as a small downgrade on this grading process. So I'm just gonna give it an A minus. Trey Lance, really great. He's in the best situation a quarterback can ever ask for. For the 4th overall pick, the Falcons select Kyle Pitts. This is probably another A plus for me, just because of the fact that Kyle Pitts is a once in a generational talent that you'll never even get, and that you'll never, they should never pass upon. Well, I'm sorry about that. Also, yeah, this is also a very this is also yeah this is also a good weapon for Matt Ryan, as Arthur Smith really does believe Matt Ryan can succeed. Not but like MVP wise, but Arthur Smith really wanted more weapons for Matt Ryan, and he gets them. So for the 5th overall pick, the Bengals select Ja'Marr Chase. A lot of people didn't like this pick. I personally didn't have a problem with it because I understand why they would go Chase. But I'm really gonna give this a B plus. I do think they could have taken Sewell, but I really do think Ja'Marr Chase was better for them because the fact that they don't have a dominant one. Joe Burrow already has already has chemistry with this receiver. And yeah, Penei Sewell is a really great prospect. You don't want to pass up on him. But the thing is, this was a very deep tackle class, deep old line class. They could have gone their guy in the 2nd round, which they did in Jackson Carman. Or is that even, or did I even get that right? Wait, let me check again. He Wait, where did he go? Where did he go? Where did he go? Yeah, Jackson Carman. I was right. I was right. Okay. Yeah. So Jackson Carman. Yeah, they definitely got Jackson Carman right there. So I'm really gonna say, yeah, this was a B plus grade. This Ja'Marr Chase really does seem like a great wide receiver, but moving on. So the 6th pick, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle. I'm also gonna give this another B plus because he does have chemistry with Tua, and they did really need to go. They did need offensive linemen, but Jalen Waddle is very explosive as he's I think he's honestly better than Ja'Marr Chase, but if you take in some considerations, here here it is that Jalen Waddle, they needed to give Tua more weapons, and I honestly think Jalen Waddle's fine. I think he's fine. But as the Dolphins, they actually had a really great draft as they did get Jalen Phillips, which I'll go on to that later. They also did get, I think, oh, oh man, I really need to check. I really need to check with these prospects and like where they went to. But wait, where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Well, okay, well, they nailed the 1st round. I'll just say they got a weapon for Tua, and they got probably the best edge rusher in the class. As yeah, they did need linemen, but I think having Jalen Waddle, who's probably the best receiver in this draft class, will be it will be good. It will be good for Tua. And Penei Sewell, the Lions select Penei Sewell, which was definitely an A plus. They have too many holes. They got the best player available. This is the best tackle prospect since for the past like probably 5 years. Yeah, I'm told that Penei Sewell is pretty good, and I think he will be pretty good. So for the 8th pick, the Carolina Panthers selected Jaycee Horn out of South Carolina. And a lot of people didn't really like this pick, but I think this was a really great pick because now Carolina gets this young, promising defense, and Jaycee Horn's probably the best corner in the league. I mean, best cornerback prospect. My bad, best cornerback prospect. I think he does have the potential to be the best corner in the league, but we'll see where he goes. And then the same thing applies for the next pick with Patrick Surtain. Him and Horn are probably close as the cornerback one, but both teams really do get a long a lengthy, tall physical corner that they can put on their opposing team's receivers, because both of those teams are in a division with great receivers such as Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, the patch with Tyreek Hill, the Keenan Allen. They needed guys that can guard them, and that's going on for the 8th and 9th pick. I would give both of those picks probably a minus. A very solid pick for both sides. And for the number 10th pick, this was a trade up for the Eagles as they select Devontae Smith. I would give this another A minus. I think Devontae Smith is probably the best wide receiver in this draft class, maybe because he won the Heisman, but also the fact that the Eagles selected Jalen Reagor the year before. They probably want to redeem themselves for that. And of course, getting the Heisman winner, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And for all these 5 picks, all these 10 picks, one of them is going to be very disappointing. One of them is going to be very disappointing as a lot of the picks do. Like the third of the first round never materializes in the NFL. And for me, my predictions will be, I would like to see him prove me wrong, but I think Zach Wilson to the Jets may be a disappointment. Maybe Jamar Chase. I'm not really going to say that as much, but maybe Jalen Waddle because of his injuries. But maybe Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn too. But I really do think anyone can be a disappointment because there's these draft picks just projections, but I hope for the best. I hope for the best for these people. So now moving on to the 11th pick, this was a trade up by the Chicago Bears, which they selected Justin Fields, and this is definitely an A+. I predicted in my previous mock draft, if you haven't checked that, make sure you go watch it. But I predicted that if there was a quarterback that would fall out of the top 10, Chicago will be the first team willing to trade up because they're going to be the most desperate. And yeah, they got Justin Fields and they got and they traded up for Tevin Jenkins too, probably one of the best tackle prospects in this class. I would definitely give this an A+ for Chicago, as Ryan Pace and all those guys they were holding on to their jobs. They were holding on to their jobs, and if they went into the season with Andy Dalton, everyone's probably going to get fired. But like, of course, you went and drafted Justin Fields, who probably has the highest ceiling in the draft class apart from Lawrence. But here it is. So you got Justin Fields. Great. So for the 12th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Micah Parsons. I'm going to give this a B+. I'm not really that high on Micah Parsons. And the Cowboys probably didn't want Micah Parsons because they wanted like Surtain or Horn. They probably wanted one of those corners, but that didn't really happen. So they just went with probably the best player available. But I'm not really that high on Parsons but I do think he is a really great player. But I'm not really gonna give it a high grade. I'll probably give it a B, a B+, yeah, B. Probably a B, yeah, probably a B. And for the 13th pick, the Chargers select Rashawn Slater. Well, bad. Rashawn Slater. And that's probably an A. That's definitely an A because he fell down. He fell down to the 13th pick. And I honestly thought he would be taken before Sewell, but this is a steal by the Chargers. A little bit. A bit of a steal because I thought he would go into the top 10, but he fell down to the Chargers, and now Justin Herbert has a guy that can protect him for the foreseeable future. Now for the 14th pick, the Jets traded up with the Vikings and selected Elijah Vera Tucker. I would honestly give this a B+, A-, probably because I don't know if the Jets really should have traded up for Vera Tucker, even though I didn't really he probably could have been like the top 20, and then they could have traded only a few spots. But this is a very solid pick because he's probably the most pro-ready tackle, and he's also like he's also versatile as he can play guard and he can play tackle, and they need protection for Wilson, their franchise quarterback. So it's a solid pick for them. And for the 15th pick, the New England Patriots select Mac Jones. This was really a no-brainer for them because they wanted to they wanted to get one of those quarterbacks, but they couldn't. And Mac Jones just fell to them. So they took for him. I'll probably give this a B because this isn't really, I'm not really high on Mac Jones, but considering he's playing with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick, who knows, man? Who knows how Mac Jones is going to do it? No, for the 16th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Zaven Collins. When I first saw this pick, I was very confused because I didn't know why the Cardinals would take Zaven Collins in the first place. And then a lot of people were saying, oh, they might be giving up on Isaiah Simmons, which I don't think is very possible because Isaiah Simmons was actually being pretty solid at the end of the year. I do think based on this pick, I do think they will play him on this at the Sam, and they would play Simmons at the Isaiah Simmons at the Will or Mike. I forgot which one he played. I think it was Mike. But this is a very solid pick, to be completely honest, as they wanted a replacement for Reddick. They lost Reddick, so they wanted they wanted a guy that can cover. They wanted a linebacker that can cover and can blitz, and it's a solid blitzer, but he can use some work on that. But of course, this is a really when I first saw this pick, I'd probably give it a C grade, but now I'll probably give it a B plus, just because I really do think Cardinals had bigger needs and they could have drafted like a corner, maybe like a wide receiver, a deep threat. And yeah, so but I really do think this is a good pick, but I really do think this is also a pick the Cardinals didn't really need to do in the first round. So for the 17th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Alex Leatherwood. Based on this pick, I would say it's probably a C, but considering the fact that they got Trevon Merrick in the second round, which can really be replaceable with this pick, that if they picked Merrick in the first round and Leatherwood in the second, no one would really say anything. But I would give this probably a C, just because they took Leatherwood in the first round and they were very lucky that Merrick fell to them in the second. So that's that. Now for the 18th pick, the Miami Dolphins like Jalen Phillips, the best edge rusher in the class. I really wanted him on my favorite team, but it's tough that the Dolphins took him, and this is probably an A minus to A, because the guy does have injury concerns, but Brian Flores is a defensive minded head coach, and he can probably deal with the best way to deal with Phillips. But this is a good pick by the Dolphins. I really like this pick. The 19th pick, I actually really like this pick too, is for Washington selecting Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis is probably in the best situation a linebacker of his caliber can be, because now he has a really good, he has a really good defensive line right in front of him, and he is a really great blitzer, and I think he's the second best linebacker in this draft class, and it's really great. It's really great for the Washington football team to select him. So for the 20th pick, the Giants select Kadarius Toney. This really makes no sense because Bateman was on the clock. I think they had bigger needs than a wide receiver because they got Kenny Golladay. But I would give it a B minus, just because this actually is a pretty great fit, as they don't really have a receiver that can create that's really great yards after catch guy. And Kadarius Toney is really great at that. He could get consistent with his route running, but if the Giants really use him as a yards after catch receiver, and then he'll just have to run slants and these small routes, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible pick. And then for the 21st pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Kwity Paye. I would give this an A, as when I first saw this, I was thinking there were probably more talented players on the clock than Kwity Paye, but considering the fact that the Indianapolis Colts wanted him on their team and they were targeting him this entire draft and hoping for him that to fall for them, and he did, and they took him. They took him. I would give this an A, because how for a guy like Kwity Paye, if you've heard his story, you want to root for that guy. How can you not root for a guy who's been through a lot? And I'm really excited, man. He's a really great speed rusher. He could get more consistent with his pass rushing ability, but he's getting better as it seemed like in the end of the year. And I think Robert Mathis does have a great a great edge rusher to deal with. And this definitely the Colts needed edge rushing talent, and they got one. And they got the probably one of the best in the they probably got the best in this draft class, according to a lot of people. Now moving on to the Tennessee Titans. They picked Caleb Farley, a very high risk, high reward player. But considering if Caleb Farley goes through injuries, then I would grade this a C. But considering Caleb Farley's upside, I would give it an A minus. But Wolves and the Titans did need help in the secondary, but now it just really depends on how Caleb Farley can deal with injuries and if he can reach his full potential. And now for the 23rd pick, the Vikings select Christian Darrisaw. This is a steal. I would probably say this is a close to an A plus. But I honestly I wouldn't give it an A plus. They were probably they were targeting him at the 14th pick, and then they were able to get him in the 23rd pick, which is a steal because I think he has an argument to be better than Slater or Sewell, which I don't think he is, but a lot of people had him like that. But yeah, I would say yeah, an A to A plus for the Vikings. And for the 24th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Najee Harris. I understand where this pick is coming from, as they did possibly need a running back as James Conner was gone and they were the worst in rushing. So they wanted Najee Harris as a really great running back prospect. But the fact of the matter is that everyone that knows football just knows that running back, even like a casual fan would know that running back is the most replaceable position. And it matters about your O line more. It matters about more than the O line than the actual running back. I would say, to be empathetic, I would say because of Najee Harris's upside, I would give it a B. But considering you take a running back in the in the first round, and you have bigger needs at the O line, I would give it probably a C plus. And I'm sorry, Steelers fans, I do really think Najee Harris could have fell for that. If it could have fell in the second round, maybe, but I would give it a B minus just because of his upside, or B minus to B because of his upside. And the 25th pick, which is the most confusing pick in this entire class, apart from like the Raiders pick probably, but it's Travis Etienne in the Jaguars, which I do understand you want Trevor Lawrence to be happy in Jacksonville, so you gave him his old teammate, but you had a really great running back, James Robinson, who was probably a top 10 running back last year, maybe top 5, and definitely the best rookie running back. Definitely the best rookie running back in the league, but you had that guy already. But what was the point of taking him in the second round? What was the point of taking him in the first round? He could have fell in the second round or maybe even third round, to be completely honest. But this is very interesting. I would grade it a C just because a running back is taken in the first round and you have way bigger needs than you do than a running back, because you also had a really great one, James Robinson. And for the 26th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Greg Newsome II. This is a really great pick because Greg Newsome, I think, really could have been taken a lot higher. He does have injury concerns, but now the Browns really dealt with their needs a lot. They dealt with their secondary. They have more depth at that. And now they have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in the second round, which is a complete steal. The best linebacker in the draft class is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, in my opinion. And he fell in the second round to them, which is very interesting and a steal. But I would definitely give this Greg Newsome grade probably an A minus, as they did need more. They do need more like secondary depth and secondary help. And Greg Newsome is a really great prospect. Greg Newsome is probably my cornerback 3, maybe cornerback 4, but they need more depth, and they got more depth. They got more depth, and they let Greg Newsome fall to them, which is insane. But now moving on to the 27th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Rashad Bateman. This is an A plus. This is for sure an A plus. Rashad Bateman, to me, is probably the best receiver in this draft class. And yes, he's better than Ja'Marr Chase and he's better than Jalen Waddle, but that's just my opinion. But I do think Rashad Bateman is the best receiver in this draft class. And the way Baltimore, I really thought like Rashad Bateman would fall for like the 15th pick, maybe like the 18th pick. I don't know. Whatever team needed a more dominant receiver would have taken Rashad Bateman, but they didn't. And Baltimore needed one. And this is the best receiver in the draft class, and he fell to them at 27. That's a steal right there. I'm definitely giving that an A plus. And Rashad Bateman is a guy that has a huge catch radius, so that helps Lamar Jackson a lot. And he's a really solid route runner. Lamar Jackson needs the guys like that. And now for the 28th pick, the Saints select Peyton Turner. A lot of people really kind of hated this pick because the Saints really needed because Peyton Turner wasn't really a first round guy. But considering the fact that Peyton Turner is actually a really great prospect, he really has injury history, but that's really it. And Peyton Turner really doesn't do anything wrong. As I think Peyton Turner was actually like on the same level as Kwity Paye and like not Jalen Phillips, but he was definitely on the level like Kwity Paye, Azeez Ojulari. He was definitely on that level, and Azeez Ojulari didn't enter in the first round. But I do think the Saints do get a solid edge rusher in Peyton Turner, and I would probably give this a B plus, considering I could think they could have taken him in like the second round, maybe. Yeah, I do think they could have taken him in the second round and like get a bigger need there, but it's good. But this is a good pick. This is a good pick. And for the 29th pick, the Green Bay Packers select Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes, I think, is a really great prospect, but I would give this like a B plus, just because Eric Stokes is really fast. He's really he's a speedy dude, and speed really contributes a lot to the NFL when you're a cornerback. And Eric Stokes ran, I think, like a 4.3 for 40. I don't know, but let me wait. Let me see if I can find it. And he does have like above average ball skills, but I do think like the Packers did need a corner because like they were getting bullied on that in the NFC Championship game. So it makes sense for them to just take the best corner available. But yeah, I would give this a B plus. And now for the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills selected Gregory Rousseau. This is a very solid pick, but at the same time, if Gregory Rousseau turns out for his upside, this would be like an A grade. But considering he's probably he's probably a boomer bust prospect in this draft class, I do think this is more like he will be like a probably B minus, but I do think he can be as Buffalo. But Sean McDermott's a great defensive head coach. I don't know who the defensive coordinator for the Bills, but he seems to have pretty solid players and he makes the best out of them. And I think Gregory Rousseau can fall into that category because the Buffalo needed more edge rushing help. And this is a really great prospect, as before a lot of people were having this guy as a top 5 pick, but now he's not. But then he falls in 30. So Buffalo got a B plus grade. And the Baltimore Ravens with the 31st pick, their second first round pick, they select Jayson Oweh. This is a really solid pick, but I would probably give it a B because he could use some work on his pass rushing ability because he's a great run stopper. But this was just mainly the best player available for the Baltimore Ravens. And the same thing with the next pick with Joe Tryon to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's probably just more of a depth piece than really a dominant. You want to fulfill a need, but here is just these guys are very talented and they can probably sit behind, maybe develop a little bit, but it really doesn't matter. These are just more depth pieces. And now that's the end of the first round. I'm not really that huge of a person in the draft, but if you want me to do the second round grades, maybe like third round grades, I would do that anytime soon. If you want me to, maybe comment down below. But I would definitely say this was a very interesting draft. A lot of things happened. A lot of a lot of prospects are really great. A lot are in great situations. A lot are in bad situations. We'll see by next year, maybe in the rookie season, if they can perform or not. But of course, it'll take time. A lot of people develop in their third years, for having breakout years and stuff. But this is a really solid draft. As I do really think players like Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Kyle Pitts, Penei Sewell, like Sertan, maybe Justin Fields if he just doesn't start right away, which he probably won't. But I think guys with high upsides, those with that high of an upside, can make an immediate impact on their team. And players such as probably Mac Jones, uh, not Micah Parsons, I honestly don't know. I don't really want to predict who's going to be a bust or not, but I'm going to say players that will probably need time to develop, or like Trey Lance as well, but they'll need time to develop and learn the NFL scheme, NFL system, their team system, and hopefully this is a really great system for them. But this is a very interesting draft. I really liked it. Comment down below what you think about my grades and like what you would change and what you want and what you would think. And unless you're listening, and you can probably tell me in person if you know me, but here it is, man. Here it is. And this is the All Facts No Cap podcast. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. And this is the All Facts No Cap podcast. I already said that, and I don't know how to conclude this, but I'm going to conclude it right here in 3, 2, 1.